Hi, and we're live.
Hey, happy Friday.
Happy Friday. I am so glad it is Friday.
It is nice to be at the end of the week.
It is because after this, I am going to relax, but also work a little bit. But hopefully I can relax. Okay. So, without further ado, I'm going to ring the meditation singing bowl to clear our space and energy, then we can get started.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So we have a Pisces new moon that was late yesterday. And we have what's called a Pisces stellium. So the planets of Sun, Moon, Saturn, Mercury, North Node, and Neptune are all squinched up together in the sign of Pisces. And if you're feeling a little woozy or sleepy or just out of sorts, that would be a very Piscean, fuzzy kind of energy. It's the psychic sponge. So if you know people who have a lot of Pisces energy that they express, they can quite often, have moods based on who they've been around. Like they can take on the energy of their surroundings. And
Hmm.
my dad was a heavy Pisces and very quiet. It's a mutable water sign. So um, the two fishes swimming upstream, you know, there's the duality of nature there. And that's sort of the lesson for Pisces. And they're very empathetic to other people's pains and feelings. It's the addict. A lot of heavy Pisces energy has problems with alcohol and addictions of all kinds. It's the natural ruler of the 12th house in the zodiac, which is the anxiety closet. That's where we
Hmm.
stuff things we don't want to deal with, our fears and fears and anxiety. So if you're reading a chart and there's activity going on in the 12th house, that could be confinement. It represents hospitals and even like psychiatric wards. Um, it is past lives. We read past lives from the 12th house. It represents the feet and the psychic ability as far as the body attributes. So it's a really out of sorts kind of feeling energy to me. Um, One thing that has consistently been showing itself is people having mental breakdowns, like, on a mundane global scale. To some, it might appear like it's the wild, wild west, and
Hmm.
everything's sort of chaotic and haphazard. But, the reminder notice is that things are never as they appear, and it's your psychic faculty that helps you sort of discern what is real and what is not. I think the people that have the worst time with this energy are when they're really fixed on a perceived reality. And when that reality is not real, and those fantasies or illusions start to crack or dissipate, that's when people really can lose it.
I can see that.
It's happening a lot. The thing I think about is just being extra aware of what you're doing and being around, because it's not necessarily you having a hard time with the energy, but other people are having a hard time with the energy, and that can create, you know, just chaos. And um, I was, where was I? And heard a bunch of yelling, and it was just like at a stoplight, heard a bunch of yelling. And I look over, and there's like, a mother and her kids just yelling at the top of their lungs at each other, getting out of a car, and it made me think about this kind of energy can make people crack up a little bit.
I can see that. I mean, because like this whole week, like I've been feeling like all over the place,
It's been more
not
active for me.
yeah, not like yelling or being angry, but like just too much energy is going through me right now.
Yeah.
But I am getting stuff done. It's just it's a lot. Like I could use like a slowdown, which I think we're about to have, which I hope is a good
I don't
period.
know if it's so much of a slowdown as just constant shifting.
Mhm.
So we just had Mars station retrograde on Sunday, which had been retrograde a long time. We've had a longer than normal Mars transit over the last few months. And then tomorrow, Venus goes retrograde. So we're not given much reprieve there. Those are two very personal planets. That means they're close to the Earth, and we tend to be more responsive to the personal planets. So
Mhm.
that is, masculine and feminine energy. It can mean literally in your life between men and women. It can mean the masculine and feminine parts of yourself at odds.
Mhm.
So, with Venus stationing retrograde tomorrow, all in all, though, with those two planets like that, it's a slowing of that energy, like you're talking about. But we are heading into March, which is eclipse season, and eclipses tend to trigger extra vibrations in the atmosphere. And, I wouldn't call that slow, I would just call it sort of shifting and
Mhm.
changing. We have the spring equinox coming up too. So, um, but this week, certainly between Mars and Venus, there is a lag of sorts. And the Pisces new moon is making a trine to that Mars in Cancer. So those are gifts, emotional gifts. Those could be gifts from the mother. Um, uh, you know,
Yeah. My mama sent me a video, and it's about a love story from a Norwegian composer, and it's about a man and a woman, and the man was very in love with the girl, and so he decided to go abroad to make money so that when he comes back, he would have something to show for. And so, he goes abroad and he comes back, and there was like a pirate attack on the ship, and he lost all the money that he worked so hard for. And he was about to come back home to meet his woman that he loves so much, but he didn't want to go back empty handed. So he decided, instead of going back to her, that he would just like try to make ends meet and try to do something, but no, not going straight to her, because he didn't want to show up like a like a broke ass loser, right? So the moral of the story is that he finally goes to her very late in life, where he's like old and stuff, and she's still there waiting for him, and she never gave up, she never lost hope. And so they finally croaked. But my mom sent that to me, and I was trying to think, what is she trying to say? Is she being like, and I shared this with my boyfriend, and I said, Is she being romantic or is she just like being rude about it? Is she saying that it's gonna take forever for us to be together? So, anyways, that's
I
it.
would
But
I would say there's a lot of layers there.
yeah, there is because my mom is not. She's romantic, but not really. So I think she was trying to make a point too. But she sent it to me like when I woke up, and I was like, "Is that the first thing she sends me? Is this video?" But like the music is like opera. It was like operatic music, and it
Yeah,
was like beautiful but melancholy at the same time. It was like a
right.
beautiful
Tortuously beautiful.
yeah.
Opera is sort of like that torture and pain and love all mixed up together.
So he said, I know that composer. So I was like, oh, okay. And then he made a laugh. He said he said, well, luckily I'm Dutch and I can handle it. I was like, okay. Like, but it was funny. So when you mentioned that, I was like, yeah, that's the gift she
Yeah.
gave.
Mars in Cancer is things around the mother figure, or you
Mm,
being a mother, or any.
mm-hmm,
If you're not a mother or don't have a mother, it's the nurturing principle in yourself. How do you nurture others? How do you allow others to nurture you? That's
mm-hmm,
another part of Cancer energy. There is certainly a rub there, Mars and Cancer, with the tenacity of Cancer and the aggression of Mars. Um, so, a very fantastical trine to a Piscean moon. And then you have, it's also really close to a trine with Saturn. And so that can bring in the father figure, that can bring in a nebulous relationship between a man and a woman. It is, you've got Mercury sitting within 4 degrees of that trine. So that can be, a lot of dreams and ethereal communication or psychic communication. So the psychic faculty is Pisces, and that is the third eye chakra. So that's all about vitalizing the lower brain and the central nervous system. It's your wisdom, your soul realization. And I don't know if I'm going to communicate this very well. I'm going to give it my best shot. But a stellium in Pisces on a mundane level is um, and when you talk about your soul realization, that is dropping any illusions that you have of yourself or your world around you. And I think what is and the unveiling of the truth. So let me see if I can think of a good example that won't offend anybody. Nope, I don't think of one, but um, so say you've had a belief in something, anything. It could be personal, it could be political, it could be religious, but you've had a strong belief that something is exactly how you think it is. But it could very well be stemmed to a very complex web of propaganda that is not true at all and is more of a manipulation. So, this is a touchy subject, but let's bring it up. It might be a good example of what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of controversy about federal employees being laid off, and
mm,
Elon Musk wanting federal employees to give him 5 things that they've done in a week. And I don't know how many thousands of employees there are, but the whole point is that there are names on the payroll of the federal government to people that do not exist.
Hmm.
So, weeding out who is legitimately an employee working and getting rid of the dead wood or, fraud. So, this energy is a lot about unveiling fraud and
Hmm.
hearing a lot about fraud. And so, if you uh, have very strong opinions about what that agency you said has been doing for 40 or 50 years, and when an audit's been conducted and it's found that billions of dollars have been wasted and embezzled and used for corruption. For some people, if you have such a strong belief in something and the thought of it not being authentic to what you believed it was, that is the mental break. That is a meltdown of sorts where the veil comes down. I cannot process that. It's just very hard for people to sometimes see things for how they really are as opposed to how they've wanted to believe they are. So,
Mm-hmm.
Pisces is all about the fantasy, and um, this period we're in is about revealing the fraud and reality of things, that it's not a fantasy, that it's a very I think it's a very exciting time to step back and just allow things to unfold and not being too emotional or too detached with any outcome. And you and I have both been business owners, and you know how hard you work and the work ethic it takes to be in business. And there's no reason why the federal government shouldn't have the same standards of wanting the employees to have a level of proficiency and ability. So if you're paying people money and they don't exist, or they're just checking in online and actually doing another job and sort of double dipping, that should be weeded out. And I
Mm-hmm.
know this girl at work said to me, "Oh, I feel so sorry for those federal employees." And it hit me funny. I was like, I don't. My hard earned tax dollars are being used to support something that's fake, and corrupt. And I can't speak for you, but I know in my career I've gone through plenty of times of being unemployed, underemployed, doing jobs I didn't want to do, but it's what you do because you have responsibilities to take care of. And the thought of somebody just feeling entitled to sit and babysit a computer and not do anything and get paid really well for it, that just gets my lather up.
Well, that happens in other forms of business too, not just
Oh,
in the
sure it
federal
does.
level, but like, just
That's what we're
basic.
seeing splashed on TV right now, though. And you're right, it does
But
happen.
you know what? Did I tell you about like how I get these bounce backs from people who are purchasing like my personal stuff, right, from my other business, and they're using their company email to sign up on my
Oh,
account,
right, right,
and they're on freaking vacation, or they won't be in the office until such and such date. And I'm like, really? Do they have a lot of time to sit on their during working hours and shopping online? Like that's the thought that I'm thinking.
right.
Like, it
It
must be
does
nice
happen
to shop
everywhere.
online. It must be nice to shop online while you're at work, and, like, because I guess, you're not that busy, like
Well, and for people that are self employed, we might like take an afternoon to go do personal errands and then work late at night to make up for whatever
Oh,
time
yeah,
you
like,
need.
yes.
So,
So, yeah, self-employed people, they work all day long. They don't freaking work 9 to 5,
and it,
you
it
know?
might be a unusual schedule to some, but you're exactly right. I'm not trying to say it only happens in the federal government. I'm just making it an example because it's been
Mhm.
splashed out there on the news networks, you know.
No, I've seen it because it's on certain, like, because when I was in the lobby getting my car fixed, I was just, because I don't watch the news, but I was in the lobby and the TV was right there and I had nothing else to do. And the funny part is that everybody else that was sitting in the lobby was not watching TV. They were like on their phones or they
Right.
brought a laptop and they were busy doing something else. So, but I didn't bring nothing. So I watched the TV and they were talking about that. And they even brought up little instances about how their uncle or their a friend of theirs, right? They brought in a story, which is like
Yes.
how they get people, like they want to introduce with a little freaking story. And like,
Yes.
yeah, my uncle, he thought it was like a joke, right? To see if he was like one of the ones that were going to get laid off. And lo and behold, he was. And so they would bring like little jabs like that on the news. And I was like, why would they bring some story up like that?
Well, then there was another girl they brought up who was saying, I think it's great to be given the opportunity to show what my value and skill level is because that sets me up for promotion and to do better. So
Mm,
it really comes down to work ethic. It
mhm,
really does. And, Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto is all about your moral values. And so work ethic is certainly part of your value system. And
mhm.
that stems back to, what you saw growing up. If you saw a strong work ethic in your family and surroundings. And um, it's just all different for everyone. And I guess my point was that if you're really committed to the belief of a certain story and the veil comes down and it's revealed as something corrupt or fraudulent, um,
They're in
Pisces
denial.
gives you the opportunity to be kind of detached from it as
Mhm.
opposed to, we've all had friends who maybe watched soap operas or something and were so into the storyline, they would talk about those people like they were their own family, right? They're
Right.
very invested in the emotions of a, a TV show,
Mhm.
and so that kind of emotional investment, then when something's revealed, it's sort of the plot twist, it's like a whole waterfall of different emotions and people process those layers differently. So Pluto in Aquarius and all of this, Piscean energy that we've had is all about, looking at things somewhat detached and from a spiritual uh, height of things, looking at the whole picture, not your just little thimbleful of a scenario in your morning
Well,
hours.
that goes to show you how strong the power of the mind is and how people can
Yes,
be easily influenced,
absolutely.
or just even basic television programming and stuff.
Programming, right?
Mhm.
It's very scary, and a lot of it's right in your face. And I have a dear acquaintance that I met at a job about 9 years ago, and every single day, I mean, even we don't work in the same place anymore and haven't for years. Every single morning, like anywhere from 2 to 4 in the morning, she will text me some sort of inspirational prayer or thought or saying or every day,
Hmm.
7 days a week. She,
Mhm.
one time I didn't hear from her for 2 days, and I called her. I said, "Are you okay?" Because it was just so out of her character to not send something to start the day in a positive mindset.
Mm.
We couldn't be more different in terms of how we look at propaganda. She is committed to it, hook, line, and sinker, and believes everything the Tell Live Vision tells her. And of course, I'm not at all like that. And
Mhm.
so she sent me this text about don't buy any chicken or eggs because due to the federal cuts, the FDA is not going to be able to give proper notification for recalls. And to me, that's just like fear porn, right? That's just
Mhm.
believing some propaganda to get you all ginned up to just to get you all ginned up. And when she sends me, there's been a couple of times she has sent me something that I just really can't even respond to because to me it's like, you don't really believe that, do you? One time she sent me a link and it was something about COVID tests. And I wrote her back and said, "What is this?" She said, "You can get free COVID tests." And I wrote her back and I said, "Why would I want to do that?" And
Yeah.
that just shuts her down. She's like, because she is all into the texting and the vaccine and all of that. So
Mhm.
you just know with certain people what subjects to stay away from, and that's just how it is. So these cycles repeat themselves, right? And it's you don't have to be an astrologer to understand that history repeats itself. So we have revisited similar configurations that would be like when the King of England broke from the Catholic Church to create his own religion.
Mhm.
Major religious overhaul, major religious fighting, right? Spiritual wars. We are repeating a cycle that would connect back to the Civil War in America. So these cycles repeat themselves, and this one, humanity is more evolved spiritually at this time. We've had the, you know, concepts of um, parallel universes, species from other galaxies, the whole aliens amongst us. So we're in a different part of humanity, but the cycle is the same where there's a rub in people's moral values, and wanting to fight for what you believe things should be and having those debates of, you know, this or that. And it creates passion and fervor amongst people.
Mhm.
So very interesting time, and for people who would be watching programs like this are already have been on a spiritual path, interested in the deeper meaning of things. But we all, even though we might feel deeply and see things more psychically, we have family and friends that are not open at all, and we have to be able to figure out how to gently, with empathy, um, allow them allow them their their position, but also try to gently have them awaken to the reality of the universe and that it is not 3D. It is not what you've read in history books. It is not what you see on TV. And so I think the more and more people see that veil coming down in their own lives and in, global mundane events, that's, power in numbers. So it's an exciting time when you've, been into metaphysics and spiritual work, always. So That
I
might
think this kind of goes back. I think a few years ago, there was a talk of like a shift in consciousness and how there
right,
would be a divide
right.
between the spiritually awakened and then the ones who are not, and the
The
ones that are not,
Matrix. The
yeah,
Matrix.
are
Yeah.
gonna fall behind, while the spiritual ones are going to continually evolve and for the new earth, so
And
to
I
speak.
don't know that falling behind is it so much as just staying connected to that 3D matrix.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like this and it'll always be like this, and you're the crazy one for thinking it isn't, you know?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so,
But I also think that there's another level, like the new generation of I guess kids or humans or what are you gonna call it these
they were
days.
supposed to be old masters.
Well, whoever like the new breed, I would call it the new breed. So they're gonna be the ones who are gonna be immersed into like AI and
Right.
technology and things like that, like how the crystal children or something,
Right.
where they're going to be more open to light energy and how things are. And then hopefully, the regeneration of planet Earth to renew, like, um, I feel like it's going to be a divide of natural, like going back to like preserving things that are natural, but also I feel like there's going to be like this synthetic integration into like the new society. So I don't know where that's going.
So here's another cycle of history repeating itself because AI is ancient.
Mm-hmm.
AI has always been around. It is not anything new.
Mm-hmm.
So the Egyptians had their artificial intelligence. The
Mm-hmm.
every culture and society coming through history has had their version of technology and industrial evolution. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not like it's new, it's just assimilating in different ways and how we perceive it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of it is perception and, you know, a big part of empathy is not judging people. So, if you have friends or family, especially, that are very comfortable attached to their 3D matrix, and that's how it's going to be, and empathy is allowing them to be, and
Mm-hmm.
also finding, the love and beauty in that soul who wants to be that way. It's not about judging that some, like, there's a political part of the whole metaphysical community. And one of the things that really made me detach more from like traveling with astrology conferences and that whole speaker circuit is there's a politics to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just this great spiritual community of people who want to kumbaya. And, no, there's greed and there's ego, just like in every marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Pisces stellium for us is about being non judgmental and empathetic to people who, as the veil comes down, they're having their own private little mental breakdowns, and being there with a smile or being there with, you know, a cup of coffee or, um, I don't know if anyone else has been experiencing this, but I share it when I think that it could be more on a larger level. But in the last month or so, two people from the pretty distant past for me, we've reconnected. Two people that were pretty good friends. One was the hair guy I had for like 26 years. And during COVID, we completely cut ties. And, we were like brother and sister for a long, long time. And I would go in and out from being sad about it, to being mad about it, to being detached about it. And over Christmas, I sent him a Christmas card. And, like 2 months later, he texted me and said, I I really appreciated the card. Do you want to have coffee? And we met and had coffee and caught up. And that was a good feeling to get beyond whatever that, um, de- whatever that, it wasn't really an estrangement, although COVID did have, we had some heated debates over COVID for sure.
Mhm, mhm.
And then the other girl I used to work with, and she just kind of fell off the grid. She had started dating a guy, and I was really happy for her. And but when people start dating people, you do not keep in touch as much as you would if you were single. And I sent her a Christmas card, and she called me the other day, and she said, "I just got your Christmas card." It took like 2 months to get across town,
Oh my god. Well,
and
I know
we
you had sent me a card too, but it came like 2 weeks later, so I don't know what's going on with the
this was
postal.
like 2 months, two and a half
Yeah, 2
months.
months is a long time.
And we met for brunch the other day and caught up, and those are really good feelings when you can reconnect with somebody that you can be yourself with. We
Mhm.
generally all have the same sense of spirituality, and now the hair guy that was so weird over COVID, well, he's sitting there saying, that whole COVID thing was handled all wrong, and now he's, you know some of the things about reflecting on the past like that is there are just going to be certain people that will never admit that that was wrong or that they were crazy. They're
Right.
just never going to admit it. And that's
Mhm,
okay. But
mhm,
I guess my point is with different retrograde energies in the 12th house. 12th house will bring souls back around who you have past life connections with. And obviously, if you have friends that you've kept in touch with for a long, long time, there's past life connection.
mhm.
So I guess my point of bringing that up was to enjoy, the simple things like having a cup of coffee with an old friend, or um, not being afraid to reach out to someone that you really enjoyed their company or socializing and haven't heard from in a long time. And generally, people are like, gosh, it's been so long, I won't reach out or whatever. But I think sending cards are always a nice way to just let someone know, you know, I know life is busy and you might be all into the electronics, but here's an old fashioned handwritten card to just say, I'm thinking about you and I hope you well. And I
Mhm.
will take that back. There's a third person, a third lady that I've talked with from my past, and we were just the longest friends forever. And her birthday was December 2nd, and I sent her a card. And I don't know, sometimes I just get a real strong Tina message, like I need to call Tina, I need to call Tina. And I just, one day after work, sat and called to see if her number was the same, and she answered. And, we talked for like 2 hours to catch up. And her father had
Mm.
died, and, a lot of life events had happened for her that took her in a different ability to keep in touch, with her
Right.
social circle.
Mhm.
So it's really important to have those touchstones, I think, of familiarity and um, not allowing ourselves to be isolated because we feel these hyper metaphysical oddities that we might not think people can relate to. I think people relate to it a lot more than we realize, and that more and more of that will come out, and that's exciting.
To what you were saying, I think it takes like a certain like a time or just like an energy because for me personally, I don't have time to think about like sending cards unless that person's energy was in my space. And
Right.
I am horrible at being the first to reach out and call somebody. Like that is not me. So, but for you, if you were thinking about it and it was in your energy, then that I think it takes a certain person to to do it because, like, for me, I've never been like that. But my brother, well, he's a Pisces, but he'll be the type to be the first to reach out and just say,
Right.
"Hey, what's going on?" And you know, so I think that's nice, you know,
I
because
think,
like you said, some people they're just so busy with their own personal thing, and maybe they just need like a little like a shake up in their
well,
routine.
I guess my point of bringing it up was to make sure you're keeping those touchstones, you know,
Mhm.
that it's not good to for us to isolate ourselves and not have um, some connections out there.
I think that's a true statement, because I was, like, reading something, and basically the guy said it's like the group. It's okay to have, like, your own thoughts and your own feelings, but, what is that when you're just by yourself? They're your thoughts
Right.
and your feelings, but it's always nice to have a conversation because that's how ideas come into mind. That's how, people can, like, I guess, network and, share,
Collaborate.
yeah, thoughts and energies with one another. And without that, then, that's even better. It's better when you're together, I guess.
Well, in the highly technological society that we are in does isolate people. People find their touchstone here, looking here,
Hmm.
you know, and that's different than sitting across a table and feeling someone's aura and energy and laughter, that vibration of laughter or the smiling. It's very different than an electronic, and that's the whole thing about, you know, humanoids and AI
Yeah,
robots,
synthetic.
and everybody jokes about that and everything. And I'm sure they're already being used and and researched and built and all those things. Just like the self-driving cars.
Hmm.
It's almost like we're developing into a society that doesn't have to do anything for ourselves. And I don't think that's healthy. I think you should be able to get out and
Because it's just like talking to, like, let's say, customer service, right? Like, it's nice to have AI,
yeah,
to go through all the basic questions, but there are times where you need specific questions as that AI has no
no
idea or
idea.
comprehension to do,
Right.
to answer your question. And I think that's like, the thing, but I can give you a story. Like last week, I think I purchased Domino's pizza, and I went through the website and I bought the pizza, and then I went to the checkout and it wouldn't take my card. And I was like, "Oh, okay." It was $100 worth of pizza. Now, I don't know, like, pizza prices have gone up drastically, so I'm like, "Whatever." I was like, so they said, "Call." I said, "Okay, well, let me call." So I call and I get this automated voice, and I kid you not, this voice sounds almost realistic.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, let me get this right. You ordered a large pizza with mushrooms, onions, tomato, blah, blah, blah. Is there anything else you want?" I was like, "Yes." And I was like, "I would like half of the pizza with blah, 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 blah." And there's like, "Well, let me get this right. You ordered a full pizza with half of blah." I was like, "Okay, well, maybe they got something, right? Right?" I was like, "Okay, this is like a lot better than what I thought." Because I was like, "Well, how are they going to take my order? Because this is complicated." So, anyways, at the very end, she was like, "Would you like to hear our specials?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Because if I didn't, I would have missed it. But she says, "Well, would you like 15% off your pizza, or would you like, buy two for the price of blah, blah, blah?" And I said, "I'll take the 15%." And she was like, "Okay, well, your total is $33 and some cents." I was like, "Okay, yeah, let me get the $33 deal." So after the AI voice came on, then came like a real person. I was like, motherfucker. I was like, now they bring in the real person. And then the real person came on. She was like, is this order correct? I said, yeah, almost. But can you tell me, like, is this the pizza? Because I needed to know exactly what the pizza, because I told it, but I wasn't for sure if I was getting what I was going to
Right.
order. And she was like, okay, well, I will give you 20% off. So your total is like $64 and some cents. I was like, fuck, man. I could have. Where's my $33 deal? I went from $100 to like 33 and now it's 66 or something, like $64 and some cents. I was like, okay, fine. That's better than 100 that I saw on the internet. So, yeah, there's pros and cons to AI. But, there's certain times where you need a real person still to make sure. And I think that's really important. I said this to like my boss like 20 years ago, it seems like, since I worked at a company. I used to work for Camber Corporation, which is like a aerospace defense tech company. And so I told him, I said, 3D animation is great, but people still connect with realism. No matter how like tech driven and how fancy the world has gone, people like organic realness. They like connectivity, and that will never go away. And years later, still to this day, video is still prevalent. People are on making their own videos. This isn't like AI generated stuff, even though you can do AI stuff, right? But the ones that actually get, like, the most is, like, the human spirit. It's the human voice or the connection that people want to hear, not some AI
An
voice
energy of some
ignoring.
sort.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally different. So, yeah, but anyways, that was my little story about the AI
I think we
thing.
have to be careful with AI too on the phone because, you know, you can tell on some of the short videos that it's AI telling the story because the
Mhm,
mispronounced words, or mispronounced names. And, I can see how it'd be easy to get scammed by an AI situation where you think you're talking to a real person, but you're not. And I don't know. I'm
I
very
I would have to
skeptical of
say
it.
it has improved, but you still can know because
Yeah.
even the Domino's pizza girl, okay, like the AI voice, she was like, "Well, let me get this straight. You ordered a blah
Right.
blah blah." Oh yeah, that's right, And
Right.
then she add a little bit of realism, like a human,
Right.
like thing, and I thought that was like really weird. I was like,
It
"Oh, okay."
is. I know.
Yeah, it's like, so they added a little touch of human, like, interaction and its, response, but yeah, totally
Well,
different from.
you talked about the netting and stuff and new generations coming up. It's all of this technology about medical advancements and, you know, implanting electrodes, in the base of the brain that tells the legs to walk again. And I mean, so they do have the research of using robotic parts in a human. You remember
Mhm.
the series? What was it called? The Bionic Man.
I don't know about the series, but I know that there's been plenty where they have, like, half human, half man thing.
Yeah, like this was a series with Lee Majors. He was the husband of Farrah Fawcett, and I don't know. He was like, I don't know, an airline pilot guy and crashed and half dead, and they rebuilt him. And then he was like this bionic. He could, lift doors off the hinges. And, he was everybody's hero for being able to save the day with his supersonic strength. was like back in the 70s. So, I mean,
Wow, they even had those thoughts back then.
yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. This is not new. It's not
Mhm.
new. It's just how it's been either manipulated or suppressed or, um, you know, it, it's an interesting time. And I think an awful lot will come out to be revealed. And it's important that we monitor our own, levels of negative thoughts or energy because Pisces is the sponge that picks up negative energy from our environment. So the healing part of that is water. So if you can't physically be in a shower or near a body of water, you can listen to meditations, you know, including sounds of the ocean or visualizations of bodies of water. And it has a very profound effect. So integrating water as a cleanser of the negative energy is very important. And everybody has a different way of lowering their stress. And as we come into March we'll have two eclipses, we'll have a Mercury retrograde, we'll have the spring equinox, and I'm sure there's other, I think Neptune's going to be going into a new sign, Aries. I want to say Saturn as well, but it's got a ways to go. And so those are very different feeling energies, and it can make you feel stressful. So, what are your tools? I like digging in the dirt. You might
Mhm.
like painting, you might like writing, you might like, you know, playing golf or ping pong or sewing or, you know, meditation is just the thing that makes your mind focus. It doesn't have to mean sitting in a yoga position oming. It can be anything that takes your mind to another place that focuses on the stitch that you're making in the material, watching, keeping your eye on the ball to make sure you hit it back.
Mhm.
Um, Runners, people who are avid runners or cyclists, they get into a zone with their body from that adrenaline that keeps their, legs moving and their heart pumping. So it's very important to nurture those tools that keep your stress levels comfortable because, you know, I wouldn't say we're in stressful times. I just think there's a lot of shifting. You called it the shifting of consciousness, and that's an excellent way to describe it. And from that will be a fallout of some bizarre behaviors, I think.
Mhm.
Very bizarre and some some mental cases that just are unbelievable. I have a friend that it's like that movie Fatal Attraction.
Mhm.
Her obsession for a guy,
Is she
drove
okay, or is she
her.
still like,
No, she's not. She's going into an inpatient mental health hospital,
wow.
and but her obsession over an illusion of a guy is what got her there
Mhm.
because the guy was not, you know, he was not reciprocating. He was not, you know, he sees someone else. But she had it in her head. He has a little girl she had built a bond with, and she had it in her head that this was going to be her family and they were going to get married. And
Well, did he say he wanted to marry her?
oh no, 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 no.
Mhm.
So, that was a viable, professional, intelligent woman that whatever broke in her mind over an obsession has her in a mental institute now.
Mhm.
And that's what this energy can do to people. It's
Mhm.
very, very mental.
Yeah, so that is definitely karmic for real. Um,
And I've noticed like people's reaction um, to things. I just think it's really important that we are somewhat detached, you know, and not get too vested in other people's reactions.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone has like their own thing. Like I said, I think in previous um live shows that we did that the mind is everything, you know. Everyone has like their
It's an incredible thing, isn't it?
and then you really never know what someone's going through based off of their
Right.
beliefs. And
And
so like
that's
how do you know unless you've known them for some time and you have like some idea? But like
right.
some people, they keep it a secret, you know, and so you didn't know everything, you know. Um, but I think like some people, they keep stuff in, or there's some that tell all, you know. I mean, it really
And
depends on the person.
there's also the psychopathic liar, you know?
Yeah, 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 and you
Yeah.
don't know if like what kind of mindset that they're in, and it's just it's so interesting that the mind is very complex.
It is. So I thought, in view of the fantasy side of Pisces, I brought out the fantasy mermaid and dolphin
Oh, okay.
deck, magical mermaids and dolphins for our
Um,
card pool. What does Liz say here? What is it?
I have the
The
magical.
magical forest. I
Mhm.
ordered a party size cheese pizza. Keep in mind, it's not that big for $28, not including tip. And I have a 19-year-old who can eat half of that and not think of saving for two others that like pizza.
Yeah,
Yeah.
especially boys. They will eat the full freaking pizza if you don't like, you know, say anything about it because I was like, "Why do you eat the whole I don't eat the whole pizza. Like 2 is enough or 3 is max, you
Yeah.
know, for slices and stuff." But no, my son can eat the whole damn pizza by himself.
Wow.
I was like, "What how?"
Does he
Yeah.
get a pizza just for himself?
No, cause the shit's expensive, honey.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, I don't know what's up with pizza prices these days, but, like, for a extra large pizza with chicken wings, and then I get, like, a gluten-free, like, single pizza for Ethan, um, and then I had, like, a little side of sauce, that was all 100 bucks. But
Wow.
then if I went once I went through the whole motions and I got my 20% discount, then it went down to, like, 60 some dollars, you know? So I was like, man, I said, this pizza better be good.
Was it?
Yeah, it was. I was hungry that day.
So I worked with a girl, and certain Fridays, especially around payday, we would decide to have pizza delivered, and we would call it a za day. And
Mm.
za day was very, very special. We didn't do it very often, but we would order pizza for the office. And so the other day, it was a Friday, and maybe last Friday, but I don't know if it was the weather or something, but I was like, man, I'd like some pizza. And I
Right.
went into the kitchen at the office, and they had a bunch of pizzas. I was like, wow, it's za day. It's a za day. It made me think of her, you know, like she was Italian, and she always called having pizza a za day.
Mm, that sounds good. Like yeah, it was last night. I made a pasta. I think they call it aioli
Yeah,
pasta. But I make it different. I make it like Spanish. It's like pico de gallo.
yeah,
So instead of parsley, I do cilantro, I do the garlic, and I put tomato and onion, and I saute that together and with like some oils, you know, and then I put the pasta in there and I squeeze like lemon on it, and it
yeah.
is good. it is tasty. So yeah, I had that yesterday, but I don't know. Now I'm in the mood for pizza now. Jesus.
Well, I
Maybe.
tell you, I like pizza, and I had a nephew who used to make fun of me because I could eat cold pizza in the morning,
What?
leftover pizza in the morning, and I can't do that anymore. I don't know why, but anyway, when I was
Young.
younger, and we were only 10 years apart, and he would come in and be eating leftover pizza from the night before cold, and he'd be like, "Don't you know that's got bacteria in it, and that's not good for you?" And I'd be like, "Don't you know you have stomach acid, and that's what kills that bacteria?" Like that. I think it
Oh,
would be, after a late night being out or something. There was something about a cold piece of pizza in the morning was like a cup of morning Joe or something. But
mm,
I love pizza. I
mhm,
don't have it very often, but I really enjoy it when I do.
mhm. Like even like if you go to like a pizzeria and they have like the single slice, especially like the Brooklyn style slices,
Yes,
they're good.
yes, yes. Well, I have for Aries, this fell out, contemplation time, and it says, spend time alone meditating upon what you truly desire.
And I have the High Priestess, which is also about meditating and accessing the higher self. So maybe Aries, instead of like being around people, maybe it's time to just go solo and think about what you need to do before you move forward.
Yeah,
Because there's like this rollback energy, right? That's coming, where we have to kind of like slow down a bit. I think you said it was
we're kind of in a pause right now between Mars stationing direct, still at a slow pace, and
mhm,
Venus stationing retrograde tomorrow. So those personal planets are moving very slowly.
mhm, mhm.
And I can't believe we're on the 1st of March tomorrow, but the 15th is when um, Mercury goes retrograde. So,
Okay, we're kind of like going into the shadow period.
yeah,
Okay. That's why the energy is like a little wonky.
I tell you, a Pisces stellium is about as wonky as you can get.
Mhm, mhm.
That's wonky.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
I think I have one placement in Pisces. I think it's in Venus, but I think I'm okay, you know. I don't know. Maybe I say I'm okay, but you
Well,
know.
you've been busy, so that's a good thing.
Mhm, mhm.
So for Taurus, I got friendship. It says make a date for a play day with one or more friends.
Oh, nice. And I have the stick.
Oh,
What kind of friend are you gonna
yeah. This might be
make a
friends with
play date
benefits.
with one or more
It's a
friends?
sexy friend, Taurus.
Yeah, it's a sexy time for you this weekend.
I think so.
Hmm. You feel creative and inspired with this little friend of yours. So yeah, it's gonna be a great time for Taurus.
Yeah. And we were
Awesome.
just talking about having coffee or brunch.
Hmm. Yeah. Lately I've been having coffee, but I feel like I don't know. I think I need more water, but that
Yeah.
could be like the whole Pisces energy. That's because
Well, caffeine is very dehydrating. So,
mhm.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if like I think I'm drinking enough water, but maybe I'm not.
So there's a natural way to put acolytes into the water with like a dash of salt and soda. Is that what it is?
Dash of salt and soda.
I think so. Baking
What
soda?
about soda water? Does that count?
I don't think so. There's something, I have to look that up. There's a natural way to make your water more alkaline and with electrolytes. I know salt is involved.
Mm.
Something offsets the salt because salt is again dehydrating.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'll try to look that up for you.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
So
you're
now we have
Gemini. And affects
Gemini.
the new moon. Have faith. Your prayers are manifesting. Remain positive and follow your guidance.
And I have here 5 of Wands, so there is like conflict. So if you're like fighting amongst family, friends, or coworkers, have faith that um things are going to be in your favor. You just have to stay positive.
Yeah, that Mercury conjunct Saturn in the North Node making a trine to Mars can make for very exasperated kinds of communication for Gemini.
Yeah, because they're holding the wands up in the air, and it's like, okay, when do we put this down?
Although Jupiter's in Gemini right now, so that could mean, opportunities to travel and um, maybe take on a second job or project that is some kind of brainchild.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's definitely a lot to think about.
Busy, busy for
Yeah,
Gemini.
for Gemini. Yeah. Okay, next we have Cancer.
Hi, Alicia.
Oh,
It's Cancer. Yeah, oh, Mars is in Cancer. Hasn't liked it there. This is morning affirmations. Say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation.
yeah, and I have here the 3 of Wands. So this is like looking towards the future. This could be within 3 days or 3 weeks. Um, so if your morning affirmation is if you're waiting on something, then stay positive. Because I feel like Cancer is looking forward to something and it hasn't approached them yet. Um, yeah, just stay positive and
Use your affirmations.
mm-hmm, it'll come. So that's actually good. I've been doing morning affirmations myself, and so it works.
I think it does.
hmm All right. So next we have here Leo.
Self forgiveness. Let go of old guilt and remember you are God's perfect child.
Hmm. So don't take too much on yourself. I have two. I have here the Ace of Cups, and then I have here the Knight of Swords, or the King of Swords. So communication about your feelings, or communicating an apology of some sort.
So I'm a Leo, and I'll tell you what happened this week with my boss.
Mm-hmm.
My boss is not very friendly. He doesn't handle stress real well. The rumor around the office is he's a little ADHD
Mm-hmm.
and he can kind of be all over the map. And that's very frustrating when he gives you something to do and then he can't make up his mind. And he can be very short about it. So the other day, Wednesday, I guess, he just showed up in my office out of nowhere, which is very unusual because I don't see him very often. And he goes, I guess you've learned by now that I'm just not the warm, fuzzy type. and I just have a lot going on and get stressed, and I might sound really short, but it's not towards you, and I'm just not very warm and fuzzy. And I just looked at him and I said, I understand. I get
At
it.
least he came and
Right. He,
communicated.
he must have recognized what an ass he had been. There had been several. He has this gesture where he likes to like shoo people away, right?
Mhm, mhm,
And
mhm.
um, and then the next day, yesterday, so I had gone to his door with a document. I had a question, and he just looked around his computer and he goes, "Not now. I can't do anything now." So it was not all that important. And so eventually he came to my office. He said, "I know I shooed you away earlier, but I'm free now. What did you need?" These were two behaviors very unusual. And I don't know, Leo can get a little miffed, if we feel um, like you haven't, been respectful. Leo's real
Mhm,
sensitive to being respected. And I guess when he's rude like that, I just sort of shut down and try to avoid him. And in our work, it's really hard to avoid somebody that's so long because we do like teamwork and need to communicate. But it's hard to, you know, like give a damn about somebody when they act like that way. You know what I mean?
mhm, mhm.
So he is a classic. He's a Sag. He's a Sagittarian, and it's very hard for him to admit he was wrong ever about anything.
Mm, mm. Well, according to this, I mean, he came with his cup and tried in his own way, you
His
know?
emotions. Hey, it meant a lot to me because I've been really getting pretty just tired of the abruptness. I mean,
Mhm,
we're all trying to do the best we can and stay as professional and kind as we can. And when you've got someone in charge, large and in charge, who's an ass that can't make up their mind what their instructions are and changes them all around, and then you weren't able to figure out what he wanted. So it's it's a challenge for sure.
mm.
But that was important, for my little tender ego.
Mhm, no. I
Yeah,
mean, at least at because I think you felt, like, really good that week when you spoke your piece, I
yeah,
think, and I think it was received, and so at least he recognizes it, and
right.
he's trying his way to
Yes, that's true.
rectify his
His way.
behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, his way, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's fine.
The other
Baby
one,
steps.
I know. The other one I work for is a Gemini. He's not been there as long as I have. He's fairly new there. And we're the same age. And he is so passive. I mean,
Mhm.
sometimes I feel like I want to take his pulse to see if he's alive because he's just like flat. He just, he doesn't care. He's easygoing. Do what you
Mhm.
want to do. You're trying to get like an assertive answer out of him about something, and he's like, doesn't matter to me. He'll say that. It doesn't matter to me.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I'll be like,
Just as long as he gets his paycheck, he's fine.
I guess. And so I have two very opposite bosses I work for.
Mhm.
Then there's a big boss, the main guy. I have to find out what he is, but I lovingly refer to him in my mind. I would never say this out loud, but he's kind of like the little prince. You know,
Hmm.
he's the big cheese, and he knows he's the big cheese, and he kind of expects everybody to, you know,
Bow
serve,
down.
serve his cheese.
Well, that's why he has you guys, you know.
But he's another one that, you know, he has so much on his mind. His communication skills are challenging,
Hmm.
you know.
Well, maybe, you know, you can like indirectly say, well, I've tried this technique and it has really helped me to clear my thoughts.
Oh my
And
God, I can see me trying to say that to him now. He'd look
no,
at me.
no, not say to him, but say it about yourself, and then
Uh,
maybe that
yeah.
will kind of jog, like, oh, because he heard it, and then it's like, well, maybe I need to do something like that too. So
Well,
it's kind of like,
I'll tell you something funny that happened between us that threw me off. Do you remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I think you froze. Are you there? I think you froze.
oh,
There you
hello,
are. There you
oh,
are. Yeah.
yeah,
Do
okay,
you
I'm back.
remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Very vaguely.
Okay, so back when it started, it was really the coolest thing. And at a downtown movie theater, have you ever seen the movie?
I have, but I can't remember. Like me and movies, I don't
So
remember.
it was a wild movie, and throughout the movie, different things would happen. And I guess one of the most intense one is Meatloaf would in the movie enter the castle on a Harley Davidson motorcycle.
Mm,
In the theater, somebody would drive a Harley Davidson motorcycle through the theater and around.
mm,
So it was sort of a 3D experience when Dr. Frankenstein, whatever his name was, threw water. People in the audience would throw water.
mhm,
Um,
mhm,
they did this dance called the Time Warp. It was just a silly little dance. People would get up and do the Time Warp. So we're in this serious meeting, four of us, one time, and the big guy's name is Jim. And Jim is saying to this really young associate something about, you're too young to remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show, aren't you? And she had no clue what we were talking about. He looked at me and he says, you remember the Rocky Horror Picture Show, don't you? I was like, oh my God. Yes, that was wild. And then it occurred to me, I said, what made you think of that? I mean, we're sitting here in this meeting, it has nothing to do with anything. And he goes, well, the client's name is Brad. Well, if you know the movie, one of the main characters is this geeky guy named Brad. Well, I just hooted that he connected some man at a client's office named Brad with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I mean, that to me was so bizarre. And my oldest brother looked just like Rocky. He didn't even have to do anything to go as Rocky for the Halloween party. And so that really showed me a side of him, a comic side of him that I would have never, ever thought, ever. So when we had the Christmas party, it was at a big fancy hotel downtown. Everybody got all dressed up, and I got there, and I wanted to thank him and his wife for giving the party. And I said, by the way, Jim, when we get to dancing, let's go in there and show him how to do the time warp. He goes, yeah, you know. So it's like, I think when he's out of the stress of, I mean, he's on one phone call, one meeting after another, there is a kindness there. But just in general in the halls and when he's in his mode, you do not mess with him, do not distract him. If you have something you need to ask, you better ask it in 5 words or less and be done with it. Just snip, 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 you know.
mhm,
So, interesting characters I'm around right now. Interesting
mm.
characters.
Well, I think, maybe this whole Pisces energy will kind of like show you a little bit more, of like who they are or what they perceive, like what your first perception of them
Right.
was, and then like the truth is like coming out. And you're like, oh, okay, well,
Right.
this
And
is.
the truth is, there's a lot they don't know, but they act awfully big for their drawers, like they know everything.
Mm,
And a couple of things happened this week that taught me that they don't know how to do everything, and not to
mhm,
believe that they do.
mhm,
So
mhm,
spinning that web that they know what they're talking about or doing. Like, one of my buckets that I deal with are tax forms related to transactions. And, the IRS has all kinds of portals you go into and complete these reports. I've done it over and over and over and over and hundreds of times. And this one attorney this week was trying to tell me that I needed to put something different in this portal. And in my mind, I was like, that's not how I do it. But this attorney is like handing this paper saying, use this, that information. So I did, and it was wrong, and it had to be redone. And so it was like me taking the time to say to her, no, that's not right, and being more assertive about when I feel strongly about something is what it taught me, that they're not always right or know what they're doing. And if it's something I feel really absolute sure of, and um, know what I'm talking
I
about.
feel the same way about my taxes too, because I did my taxes, well, one of them this week, and the lady was like, "Well, just go ahead and come on in, and we'll get it done for you right away." I was like, "It doesn't work like that, honey." I said, "I'm not on a W-2. I'm self-employed, and that takes a lot of work." And I don't think that they've dealt with, like someone like me before, because I have several businesses, and I was like, and I gave them my Excel sheet that broke down the itemized expenses for,
Right.
this, that, and the other. And they're like, oh, well, you need a profit or loss statement and all this other extra stuff. And I'm like,
You froze again. Hello. Am I frozen? No, I'm not frozen.
oh, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay.
There you are. Okay.
Oh, um, I think my so that's another thing. I upgraded my internet. It still ain't doing shit. Like anyway, but the moral of the story is that they kept coming back and forth with me, asking for my son's information and all this other extra stuff. And I'm like, with my old CPA, I didn't have to do nothing. I just gave him all my stuff and he was already good. But
Right.
with these people, like I don't think they know how to do stuff because they're just using like a software,
Right.
maybe similar to like TurboTax.
Yeah.
And well, it wasn't, but it was like the proprietary like
Right.
tax service from that company, and they were just plug and play.
Right.
And then they kept going back and forth with me on that. And so and I know the girl who did it doesn't know anything about tax. She was just like following the AI prompts or
Right. Right.
whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah, speak up, honey.
Interesting.
Yeah, speak up because I was like, I was hoping for the best, but I've seen it now. Like,
Right.
but that's okay. Like,
We live and learn, is what I felt. We live and learn, and just hopefully remember what we learned.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes we forget, and we're like, oh, gosh,
Yeah. Shit.
oh shit, now I have to do this again. Yeah,
Attorneys can have such massive egos, though. If you try to tell an attorney, like if I tried to say to her, I've done this hundreds of times, this is not the correct answer to this question. Oh, I can hear her now, just, oh, the bluffery and the puffery and all of that. So it's almost like it has to go through wrong and go through the headache of making it right to make them connect that, oh yeah, that wasn't right.
Like I dealt with 2 attorneys this week. One of them was actually my trademark attorney, which is another thing that you know yeah, so I talked to my trademark attorney, and I told him about that Russian guy over in,
Right.
Las Vegas. Well, I saw that he actually submitted for the trademark for
You told me.
his tea shop, yeah, and so he told me that it got denied. I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice." Says, "But I can't guarantee that you will get the trademark, but since you have previous rights to the trademark, then I don't see why, you wouldn't be able to get it." He says, "Just wait 8 or 9 months." I said, "Well, I talked to the trademark office directly, and they said that." What did she say? She said, after a few days, then make sure that you fill out like a special request. There is something like a form. And then he responded back to me in the email. He says, "By the way, it's like, do you have any urgency? Are you trying to sue anybody? Because, like, if not, then you don't need a special request." I was like, "Well, excuse me, you know?" He says, "Trust me, I've done this for 27 years. Just wait." I said, "Okay."
What are you
And
waiting? What is the wait period
the
for?
wait period is 8 or 9 months. So basically, I mean, the trademark office they're overpacked with like different trademarks. So yeah, it takes time. I don't know how many people works at the trademark office, but there is a period of time where you have to wait. But you can expedite it.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and that's what the lady told me, but my attorney said, "It's just better to just wait it out for 8 or 9 months. Chances are, nobody's going to get it, but I can't guarantee." Because there is no guarantee, right? And I was like, "Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
stipulation." And I went to the trademark office, and I was trying to see if I can do it myself because it's like $350 per class.
Right.
So it's like $700. I was like, "Okay, I can pay $700 myself.
Right.
I don't have to pay my attorney because it was like, at that point over $1,000." And I was like, And then I looked at the forms. I was like, "There's no chance in hell I can fill this out. I don't know where to start." There's like a whole page of freaking like
I,
forms. I was like,
I
"No."
know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was like, "No, I'll pay the fucking money for you to do it. I don't care what kind of bullshit that you're telling me. Just fucking do it." So,
It
yeah,
was
that's
years ago, and I'm not that far from Washington D.C., and that's where the Library of Congress is,
mhm.
and the patent office.
Mhm.
So there's very good work in pat doing patents,
Mhm.
and I worked for somebody, and the client needed a search for to be able to register his patent.
Mhm.
And when I reached out to the person who goes there to do the searches, now this was back in like the late 80s, early 90s, he was charging $650 for
Mhm.
one search. And I
Yeah.
thought, man, I need to learn how to do that and go, do that. And I did not pursue it, but I wish I had.
Oh, yeah, there is good money in there
Yeah,
because, like, if you know the trademark with the back of your hand
right,
and you know how to do it like within 30 minutes, you made
right,
all that money in like
right.
30 minutes. It's like you don't have to sit there and work a whole week for that money. But I was thinking to myself, this is for the next like supposedly like 6 to 8 years or 10 years. I don't know what it is, but it's for a
Right,
long time. So I thought it was worth it. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and learn this stuff, waste my time for a whole week researching when I can just pay somebody the money and they can do it really quickly. And that's what he did. Within 30 minutes, I was ready. I
right.
was like, okay. Well, it's never too late. I mean, there's always like kind of like semi-retirement.
I know it's changed so much how research gets done for real estate records. I assume the Library of Congress is the same, but
Hmm.
we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a need.
Yeah.
So I have this for Virgo. It's Six of Pentacles.
I have empowerment. You're more powerful than you realize. It's safe for you to be powerful.
Okay, so feeling like uh you have to help the whole world.
Yeah,
uh,
that's what Virgo
um,
does.
mm-hmm. Trying to be of service to everybody, and then some. Um,
That Six of Pentacles also is indicative of people wanting to borrow money from you, too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, because in this particular one, both of them are in front of him. Usually, it's like one on, well, one on one side and the other on another side, but he's looking at both the same way. It looks like. Um, but I think he's trying to bring some peace here. He or she.
We have our little maidens here with Virgo.
Hmm.
Empowerment
Well, do you know Virgo has the power to help?
and serve.
Hmm. So I guess it's a good thing, because we need servants,
Yes,
stewards,
yes.
on this planet. So
And
it's a good
healers and healthcare workers, nurses.
thing. And you know what? There's a lot of need, and we've talked about this before, but for senior citizens and stuff, because I think because I live in the South, there's like a lot of elderly that live here, and they're in like these retirement communities and stuff. But I've seen a lot of them. But I think it's further south. It called in a city called Paradise or some, I don't know. It's something like that. But that's the old community I've heard.
In Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever, I think maybe from the West Coast, that's theirs.
So we're
Uh,
on Libra.
yeah, Libra. Sorry. So Libra, I have. It looks like King of Pentacles. Yeah.
Oh, this is so funny. Make a decision. Feeling stuck or indecisive? Listen to your intuition and make a decision. Libra has such a hard time making decisions anyway.
Mm-hmm. And this is like something you need to put your effort into, like something either in your job, your family, because I can't see what it looks like. Water, but it could be mountains, but it looks like the ocean behind him.
Yeah.
So he needs to make a decision too. Like, where is he gonna spend his money? Is what I'm thinking.
Are those mountains?
Yeah, that's what I thought. They could be mountains, but it looks like ocean waves. It's hard to tell. It could be vice versa, whether or not you're in the ocean or by the mountains. There is that choice that Libra needs to make about maybe they're
Spending
in.
money. It's a
Yeah.
financial decision.
Mm-hmm. And it's something, it could be like a house, it could be like a thing, like something physical. And there's apples there, so that kind of makes me feel like maybe that's the ocean because they eat apples in the sea or to prevent them from getting seasick.
Yeah.
But it also looks like castle, so it's hard to say.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so I guess it's time for you to make a choice, Libra.
Use your intuition.
Mm-hmm. Choose wisely. Don't do this quickly. Just take your time and think about it. Okay, so next we have your Scorpio.
It's so funny, my boss saying, you can tell by now I'm not a warm and fuzzy person. It's a weird thing to say, isn't it?
Well, at least he's saying that he's not like that type. So he's giving himself permission to be a certain way, I think, right?
Right. It's still arrogant.
Yeah, but it's better than not,
Right.
just like fucking blowing it off and still being an asshole, and yeah.
So for Scorpio, I got protection. You, your loved ones, and your possessions are safe and protected by heaven.
And I have here 9 of Wands. You're feeling super guarded and defensive. So Scorpio, I mean, I could relate to that. I mean, I feel like I've been through hell and back. But I also know that, through the divine and all the powers may be, I am protected. So, yeah, maybe Scorpio, you're going through a lot. You're on defense mode, but just know that you are protected and there's nothing to really worry about. So, just take a deep breath and you see the eyeball.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know about that. It was like, yes, everything will be okay. So,
Yeah, I like that.
and plus, I see the motherly
Right.
love, the protection of the children if you have kids. And you were talking about the whole mother, um,
Nurturance.
yeah. So I think that's everything will be okay, Scorpio. Yeah. Okay. So next we have here Sag.
My hair guy is a Sag.
Mm, Ethan is a Sag.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This says treasure chest, an unforeseen windfall of new abundance comes to you now.
And I see the 4 Pentacles, and they're holding on to it. So they got their treasure trove, and they're like, they're holding on to it for dear life. Mm. I mean, maybe there's a reason, that Sag is feeling like that. Maybe there's just um, uncertainty, perhaps. If this is like a windfall, you never know until you get your next wave. Um,
Right.
so they could be just holding on to it for a rainy day. So that's actually good. I mean, Sag, if you're getting something extra, then just hold on to it until you figure out what to do. There's a lot
And
coming towards you.
treasure chest.
Mhm.
Maybe an unexpected inheritance or something.
Mhm. Mhm. Look, she got her mouth open.
I know. She's surprised.
You're like, oh.
Yeah. The light. Go to the light.
I don't know. It's like I've never seen this much gold before.
Yeah. Did you see that story about there's no gold in Fort Knox?
No,
They working on some investigation of where did the gold go from Fort Knox. And this
really.
could just be a story. I mean, but it was on the news.
Mm. I don't know where the gold go. China. Yeah, China be.
Probably went to Eastern Europe.
Oh yeah, there too.
It spread the love everywhere.
I know.
Capricorn, explore your options. It's time to take a look at other possibilities. It's a good time to make changes.
And I have here the High Priestess. So, like, tap into your intuition. Oh, look at that! I like that. It's a sea turtle and a girl with pearls.
I know.
Mm-hmm. Explore your options. So I guess like do some meditation and like you said, the meditation doesn't have to be like in Om style. It could just be like a hobby of some sort to kind of get your energy um out there, you know.
Focus.
Mhm. I forgot what the sea turtle represents. So is there like a
One meaning is cleansing.
mhm cleansing? Yeah, sea turtles they don't they swim pretty good in the
Yeah,
water? Like,
there's different types of them. Some are more land, some are more ocean.
mhm. And some of them swim pretty fast, I think, in the
Yeah.
water. But that's actually good. So, just tap into your intuition, um, seek guidance with your higher self, your spirit guides, um, and really think about your possibilities, whatever you're working on, just consider all your options. I know personally I have been, and there's plenty. So, now's a good time to do it.
So, sea turtle is a connection to nature, protection, good luck, and longevity.
So that's good.
It represents the thoughtful approach to life, the importance of slow progress and adaptability, symbolic of
Mm,
the path of peace. The turtle guides us on a peaceful, unhurried journey. In other
That
words, if we embark on a new challenge or adventure, it supports us throughout the stages of this journey and enables us to grow personally, emotionally, and spiritually in a solid and lasting way.
that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like if you have like some kind of like idea or thing that you're working on, take your time. Try not to like speed through it because you might miss like the importance of the thing that you're working on.
Yeah.
And so, slow and steady wins the
It's
race.
not the, what's that saying? It's not the destination, it's the path to the destination that counts.
Mhm. Mhm.
Something like
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying that exactly right. So I got self-employment. You're a born entrepreneur and your business is surrounded by magical opportunities, Aquarius.
Nice. And I have here, it looks like the Eight of Swords and Judgment. So perhaps, and I guess this is true for Aquarius, they're always in their head about like maybe how people think about them. But I mean, if you have a good idea, um, this is a good time to work on it. Don't be afraid. Like, just go for it. Do it. You know. Um, it doesn't matter what other people say or think. It really depends on what you think. And I feel like that's like really true because going back to like you were talking about your friend from earlier, it's all about the mindset, you know.
And Aquarius self-employment, I first think of IT and things in the technical genre.
Or it could be AI.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm gonna fix that glitch with a $33 thing.
Yeah.
It was almost perfect until the other person came on, but I mean that girl served a purpose and she fixed my order, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay. $30 more won't hurt.
Yeah. $40 less.
Yeah, yeah.
Crazy.
So finally we have Pisces.
We're forced to use our phones and computers to do almost anything, but yet they're fallible.
Mm. Well, let me tell you, my phone bill is too damn high. It's like $200 a month, but it used to be 400. So it's like,
Is
do you
that
want
for cell phones?
to? No, that's only for one because I paid off. the two for my boys. So, but okay, fine. I was like traveling for Christmas and they charged me an extra $100 for roaming and stuff, like for international fees. But before then, it was still $400. So I'm like, why is it $400? And it's been $400 since August. So it's been like that for some time. And I guess I never paid any attention to it because it was on auto pay and,
Right.
my money was good. And so I was like, oh, whatever. But now that I'm looking at it, I was like, what the fuck is like, why is it $400? But now those two phones are paid off and I only have one phone left. And I got it down to $200 now. So it's still expensive for three cell phones, you
I
know.
pay like 86 for one.
Mm, that's probably with the phone and then the internet and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah. I
But then
mean, but
I
I'm
pay a
paying for
second bill of like 146 that covers my Wi-Fi and um well, I still have a landline.
like an extra phone, like a
Yeah.
extra phone.
I have a fax line.
Landline is really expensive because like to keep it on, you have to pay more.
It's
For,
$25 here.
oh, okay.
A lot
Uh,
of the fees, a lot of it is taxes and fees.
mhm.
They nickel and dime you to death. All
They
kinds
do.
of fees.
I know.
That is unlimited long distance. I used to do more long distance calling than I have for a while.
Mhm. If you do it with local, for emergency uses, then I think that should be fine. Because that's what I had. Um, because like when the power went down and I didn't have any phone service, the only thing was working was my landline. And I
Yeah,
was like, wow. I was like, the landline's actually pretty good to have. But I switched over because they sold me on the idea of having a cheaper line because the cell phone was cheaper than the landline.
yeah,
And then I said, "Well, why are they making it expensive?" And the guy told me, he says, "They're trying to get rid of it.
right.
They want everybody to go on, like, the Wi-Fi network."
Digital, right.
Yeah, to go all digital. That's why they're charging more 'cause it's like, the upkeep is more expensive and stuff like that.
I think the landlines are secure, like unless they're tapped, they're more
Mhm.
secure than a digital.
Oh, yeah, nowadays, yeah.
I should probably look at that again because a lot of it has to do with my internet service and the speed and all of that. It seems high to me. So between the cell phone and home service, it's like 4240 for everything.
Mhm.
That seems like a lot to me, but it used to be when I used to mindlessly like pay all the cable and stuff like that and didn't even watch it. And
Mhm.
then when I got serious about just cutting back on what I didn't need, I mean that used to be closer easily to like $300
Yeah, it adds up.
plus the cell phone was like 110. I worked on getting that down. So there was a time when with all the telephone fees, it was closer to like 450 or something. Now I've gotten it down to 220,
Mhm. Mhm.
but I don't have any kind of cable television or any of that.
Well, I don't have it either. Um, I just do Netflix, so
I mean, all they do is the same thing over and over.
yeah.
Okay, here's Pisces for the Pisces new moon. You're on stage. This says helpful person. Someone wants to help you. Think of whom that might be and initiate contact.
Yeah,
Isn't that
don't be
interesting?
too like diving deep into it. But I have here the Four of Pentacles and I have the High Priestess. So, I would say just be careful. Like, use your intuition on this, Pisces, because someone may be trying to hold on, to the situation, and I don't know, I'm getting like parental vibes for some, like a family member, you know, they may want you to, they may help, but it just seems like it's wrong. I feel like they have an ulterior motive, to be honest.
So that's like the third time you've pulled the high priestess tonight, which is
Mhm.
so interesting because, Pisces and the high priestess would be synonymous with each other.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I would say Pisces really have to use their psychic abilities. And to be fair, my brother seems to be like kind of like naturally psychic.
Yeah,
Like, he doesn't do tarot or anything, but he'll come up with some stuff and I'm like, "Why how did you come up with that?" And he says, "I don't know, it just comes through."
right.
So I think, for him it's supernatural for him to have like these premonitions or just these random thoughts that seem to like make sense or like be real. Like cuz he'll like he has like intuition. Like he kind of senses like what people are thinking sometimes. And I'm like, "Well,
Yeah.
how do you know that?" Um so I feel like he might be in the zone. I haven't talked to him in a while, so he may be going through some stuff. But yeah. Yeah, just be mindful of like the helpful person because that person may want to hold on for whatever. It could be good or bad. I think it's gonna be like on a per person case scenario on that. So yeah.
Yeah. Reach out to someone.
hmm I also feel like it could be financial too, something to do with the home. Just like everyday life situation. It could be job related also. So yeah, so I guess that's it. Let's see here. I need to switch back to the comments. Two pizzas and some wings and delivery at Pizza's Hut was like 50. It's ridiculous. Luckily, I work at a CPK. I don't know what that is. Oh, Liz likes cold pizza. Uh, and Alicia, hello, Alicia. Hmm. Does anyone have questions for Sunny around this time? Um,
So I was just looking here. We have a lunar eclipse full moon in Virgo on March 13th.
okay, so close to the Mercury retrograde.
On the 14th,
So let's see. My
Friday
calendar.
the 14th.
Okay, so you want to do the 14th?
We'll do that.
Okay.
We're getting closer to spring.
Yeah, it's already hot over here.
Crazy. I tell you, I'm about tired of cold and winter and ice and snow.
I'll trade because I want 50-degree weather. This sounds nice to me. I'm like hot in the middle of the night and the AC is always on and I don't know, like the whole like winter here it was okay, but it needs to last longer. But it's starting to get warm.
I I in 3 weeks time, I I have like automatic oil delivery.
Mhm.
First delivery was $610, and the second delivery was 442. And I keep a cold house.
Wow.
It's been like in the teens, like 12 degrees and 15 degrees, and the furnace just runs and runs and runs.
Mhm. Mhm.
A
So
brand
it's
new furnace. So I even had somebody come. to make sure it was running as efficiently as possible. And
That's crazy.
I think it's like 3.89 a gallon for home fuel oil in this area. And I can remember when it was like 2.79,
Mm,
3.29. So it follows gas prices. So, you know, so hopefully I don't need, they usually come, like early spring to like top it off. And then that I don't use it till fall. But my neighbor doesn't heat with oil. They just have electric heat. And he was telling me his electrical bill was almost $500 for the month.
mhm, mhm. Well, that's what I was thinking. I have central heating and air, and when I was living in Washington, it was like the heater was like the wall heater kind, like they
Right.
have like this, I don't know what
Electrical.
you call it. Yeah, it's like a thing, but it's on a per room basis. It wasn't like a central heating thing.
Right.
And my electricity bill was $120. That's
Right.
the kind of price I'm talking about, you know?
Right.
But here it's like 300, $400 a month, and I'm like, "What the hell is this?" Like, it's too much.
So you save money on the telephone only to spend it on electrical. It just seems like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
pass pass things around from one bucket to the other.
Well, here it's just on everything because I had to go unlimited because they were charging me by use. And I was like, I've never heard that before. So last month I went over quota, and and my my internet bill was $90 for 500 gigs of, of speed, and or megs. Was it 500 megs or 500 gig? I think 500 gigs. And so yeah, that went up to $190 last month, or actually a week ago. And I was like, "Why is it so expensive?" So I said, "Well, can you put me on the unlimited plan?" And they're like, "Sure." So it's $140 a month, with 500. And I was like, "Okay." And that's why I said, we're going, it's supposed to be for live streaming, like, extreme gamer,
Right.
like you're using like a lot of, but this is some shitty, like freaking internet. I hate to say it, but it's Cox freaking network, and their internet sucks, and there's no competition out here. So they're nickel and diming everyone out here,
Got it.
on usage and stuff, because the only other competitor I think is CenturyLink and Verizon. That's it. And I've had experience with both of them, and I need the fastest that they have, and this is the fastest they have. So I'm kind of stuck with it. I don't know what else to do. So, like, if the thing goes in and out, that's why it's
It's
the
not too
network.
bad.
No, I told my parents. They asked me. I was like, "House prices are going down. Are you interested in buying a house?" I said, "Not here." Like, I said, "This is a sand trap." Like, no, I don't. I don't think this is my forever place. So, I don't know. Even though that the house prices are getting better, like, I just, I don't know. Like, I don't know
Here
where.
in my area, it's really low inventory. Like a house doesn't stay on the market more than a few days.
Mhm.
A lot more demand than there is supply.
Well,
And I'll tell you, they're building 300 unit apartment complexes like nothing. I mean, they're just going up any patch of land they can find.
I think that they're capitalizing on the multifamily homes, And especially some of the builders where you just have like a plot of land and you got a bunch of people and you're stacking them up, on that piece of property. So,
Right. And you get
um,
tax credits and all kinds of government stuff for doing that.
mhm. So I think that's why, as opposed to like, doing like houses and stuff. Yeah. So, okay,
Well,
well,
it all goes in cycles. We can remember that,
mhm.
hopefully when they are able to weed out all the fraud, waste, and abuse, it'll help prices to come down. I know it probably feels a little painful for people going through the process, but the end result should definitely make prices better, make gas come down, and you know,
Well, I don't have a problem with gas. Gas prices here are really good. They're under $3 a gallon. It's like two something. I like
we're still hovering like at 310.
yeah, well, I don't know why it's cheaper down here, but it is. But I'm not complaining about that.
Right.
Because that's the best I've seen in years. Um, but like, I don't know. Like, I think the cost of food has gone up.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, not really talking about the eggs, but like, everything else. It just seems like everything is gone up in price. But yeah, I don't know. Um, okay, well, doesn't anybody have questions for Sunny? I think I asked that before. If not, um, then we should be back up on the 14th, I believe.
14th for a Virgo
Mm-hmm.
lunar eclipse,
Soon.
full moon.
So, is there any kind of like insight you want to add to that before we get into that energy?
So, eclipses are like the rocking chair in a room full of cats. It might not fall exactly on a point in your chart, but are aware of its presence. Of course, if
Mm-hmm.
it's at the degree of something in your chart, then it's very significant and makes a full moon 10 times more powerful. So it's definitely a strengthening of the gravitational pull, and we react to that, energetically. So Virgo is about humanity and service, healing, nurses,
Mm-hmm.
small animals,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, very analytical. That's the perfectionist energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't really delved into what the other aspects are going to be for that yet, but I will, and I'll post it on lionmountainhealing.com.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah,
Yeah,
and if anybody wants to book a reading with Sunny, now's a good time to do it. LionMountainHealing.com. And yeah, I mean, I might even like check in with you because there's a lot that's going on with me now.
we can do that.
Um, okay, yeah. Um, yeah, well, so when things like settle down, then I'll
Just
just
pick a time. Yeah.
mhm.
Just text me when you feel like it's a good time. And I am just in a constant mode of trying to do early spring cleaning, and I'm open to an opportunity to take a break from that.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
My
okay.
yard is so full of pine tree debris. I mean, if we could figure out something to do with pine cones, that's my project tomorrow is to clean up my yard. I had some huge limbs come down with this last snowstorm,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I've gotten most of it cleaned up, but all the little stuff, got the big stuff cleaned up, but now it's like it's got to be hundreds of pine cones.
Hundreds.
I would think so. Between the
Okay.
front yard and backyard, and it's all pine trees. And you ask, why do I bother taking them up? Well, because I actually like to have a little bit of green grass. And my Leon loves pine
Pine
cones,
cones.
and his new name is Leave It Leon because we just walk down the street, Leave It Leon, leave it, because he goes after every little piece of bark, piece of pine cone. And was it 2 days ago? I was stopped on the street by someone and we were talking and I wasn't paying attention and my dog probably ate 3 pine cones.
Oh my
And
god.
so for 2 days I've been fussing at him about, have you had your intake of pine cones this week? And then he poops wood chips. So
Uh-huh.
when he poops, there's like little wood chips in it.
Oh, like little brown like thingies.
Little
Like,
wood
well, how
chips.
big are your pine cones? Are they the jumbo kinds or are they small?
All sizes. There's big and little,
Mm.
but not the real giant ones you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't want the giant ones. I want the small ones. The
You want me to
small.
ship you a box of pine cones?
Maybe, but hold on, before you do, let me think about like, let me brainstorm on what I can do with pine cones.
Well, I tell you what, I'll gather up a bucket of them and text you a picture, and you can tell me whether I trash them or put them in a box and ship them to you.
Create a bonfire.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's burn season, like, where
I know one thing that I really enjoy in the winter, and I haven't done it, but I know I'm not going to do it. But you know, when you get those net bags full of pine cones that smell like cinnamon, they've been treated
Mhm.
like the cinnamon oil. I
Mhm.
love that aroma.
Mm. Yeah, that's an idea. Okay, honey. Well, I'll get back to you on those pine cones.
All righty.
It's too bad that I don't live closer because that's like like shipping it across the whole United States.
That's
Um,
funny.
yeah.
Um,
You should actually sell them
where?
on Etsy or wherever. Saying that you want some pine
So,
cones. Yeah. There are people who don't have pine cones. Like I don't have pine cones in my area. I got cactus.
well, how would you sell them? Like five for
Yeah,
eight
just
dollars or something?
yeah, whatever. I mean, you can just try for like for the small ones and medium-sized ones. You can do it by weight. If it fits in the box, that kind of a thing.
I hadn't even thought about selling them, but boy, I sure have a lot of them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mhm. You never know because I buy natural stuff online. Like I bought lotus flowers.
Yeah,
I don't know how they're grown, but somebody has access to a bunch of lotus flowers, and I'm pretty sure that's how they're just selling it because they have it or they have like a garden and it's just too much. So,
right.
so I do buy like I just bought lang lang. Yeah, and I don't have a lang lang tree, but somebody does. you
Right.
know? And so I just bought some lang lang off of somebody so I could make my tea. So, yeah, pine
Couple
cones. Yeah.
pine cones. I'll have to look
Mhm.
into that. I need
Okay.
to upload stuff to my shop because I've been actually selling some things and I probably only have like 80 items up there now.
Well,
I had a
sometimes
couple
you just
hundred.
need like one item, and pine cones can be it. And you're like, sorry, Leon, these gotta go.
Yeah, we need to have money to buy your giblets.
yeah.
I
You
just
gotta
can't
trade.
believe how it doesn't mess with his teeth or gums, but it just doesn't seem to bother him at all.
It's probably good. It's probably like taking the debris, like the tartar off his teeth.
I
because
agree.
I do the same thing with Luna, because I noticed that the roof of her mouth is turning a little black, so I'm not like brushing her teeth like every day like I used to. It's like every other like week now. But if I give her like something to chew on, it
Right.
seems to like be better, and I don't have to go in there and brush her teeth because she's been chewing on something. And so I
Right.
think with the natural, pine cone, like it's
It's
good.
acidic. I mean, I think it's acidic.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny though, because he just really enjoys them and we just fuss at each other back and forth. He'll look up at me like, "What are you trying to keep me from my pine cones for?" He'll give me the side eye.
Mm-hmm. Like I got my pine cone.
Yeah.
He can't do anything about it.
And don't try to go into his mouth to retrieve that pine cone because he has jaws of steel.
Mhm. Yeah, they have a bigger like a
Long
bite.
jaws.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, look, thank you all for your time and effort and energy. And um, I hope something valuable has come from this and that you enjoy this energy. It's warm and fuzzy and dreamy and kind of weird.
Yeah. And I guess we'll know from now until the next one, like how that whole transition, because we're going into like the retrograde energy
Aries, yeah.
also.
And we'll
Yeah.
be changing up to a fire cardinal sign for spring, which is much different, much more
Mhm.
assertive, more aggressive. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's all good. We learn from all of it, right?
Mhm. Mhm. We'll just take it day by day.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you take care and we'll catch up soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you
Later.
for being on here with us today.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, guys. I will see you guys in 2 weeks.